welcome to How to Train Driving Instructors, the complete guide. This section is just about the Part 2 test. We've covered all the units on the other slides, but I've separate ones about the procedures for the Part 2 test and the Part 3 test. Nearly all the material is purely copied from the DVSA website, and I should give my comments and takes on things, etc., with advice. So you're knowing, as per normal, it's come from the source, so it's not hearsay, it's not myths and fables. Let's kick off. Okay, to pass your test, your trainee must drive safely in different road conditions, show that you know the highway code when you drive. Okay, this is what you're doing when you're training, and this is what it should be. And it's specifically by the highway code. We know a lot of instructors who don't believe in the highway code and teach their own method, but this is what the trainee is going to be demonstrating, that they have knowledge of the highway code. They won't necessarily be asked questions on it, but of course by their actions and what they do will be deemed to be demonstrating their knowledge of the highway code. The National Standards of Driving Training really tells us everything they must be able to do to pass the test, and I would suggest that you have a look at that frequently. Don't necessarily download it because it changes often. They need to take their license and a suitable car. We'll talk about more in the car in a moment. The car must be taxed, have a current MOT if it's over 3-year-old, and be insured for an ADI Part 2 test. Now you may need to check with your insurance companies, because a lot of insurance companies actually have a little clause in them that says they must not be used for a test. Now it's quite probable that that clause is there for learners, but I remember some time back calling a few insurance companies, and when we spoke about a driving test and we said, but it's a Part 2 test, they really didn't know, they weren't sure, and they basically just said, well, it says driving tests. So make sure that you have the correct insurance with your insurance company. There are single day insurances you can take out with some of the ADI driving insurance companies. We will give you a 1-day cover specifically if you're in doubt. There must be no warning lights showing, for example, airbag warning lights, etc. And this again comes up quite a lot in forums, etc. But they mustn't be showing. Now, some people will say that examiners have allowed certain ones and some haven't, but it's just not worth the risk if you turn up, or a PDI, a trainee turns up with a vehicle, with a car on there, with a warning light on their car. It's not worth risking the test. Get it sorted. And again, no tyre damage, and must meet the legal tread depth of each tyre. Now, examiners are not MOT inspectors, they're not tyre fitters, etc. They will walk around the car and visually look at it. And if they visually see any damage at all which worries them, they will abort the test. They will not let the test go ahead. They're not there to get down on their hands and knees and inspect it and to sort out whether or not it is. It's just in their opinion that they don't like the look of it. It would then be down to a tyre specialist. You would take it, and a tyre specialist may well look up and say that tyre is perfectly safe, but the tyre dealer is a specialist. The examiner is not. They just look at something and think, I don't like the look of that. Okay. The car must have, it says a spare, space. Must have space. You must not have a space saver spare tyre. I think that more fitted to the vehicle when in the boot. I've never known examiners checking the boot, but it certainly must be fitted on the vehicle. It must be roadworthy, obviously, and fitted with an extra interior rear view of the examiner. I know sometimes the examiners keep spares on them or in the test centre, but a test centre might have 2 or 3 of them, etc. And they may have there, but maybe all 3 of them have gone out and they haven't got one. So make sure they take along their own mirror. I think it shows a good attitude anyway to make sure that everything is ready. I think nowadays all cars are fitted with seat belts and passenger head restraints, etc. I haven't seen any of the slip-on types for many years, but it must be a fitted proper head restraint. And the car must be a strange one, capable of reaching at least 62 mile an hour and have an 8 mile per hour speedometer. Now, again, most cars will be doing that, etc. It's a very old law rule that. Must have 4 wheels and meet the authorised mass limit. I'm not going to go into those details, but taking along one of the old Robin Reliance, Trotter's independent trading 3-wheelers is not going to meet this requirement. Car must be clean and tidy, and I really clean and tidy, not just a quick brush up. Really make sure it is clean and tidy. A lot of vehicles have been refused tests because of dust, etc., and problems. So make sure it is clean and tidy completely. Give it a good old clean. If you're not sure, get the vehicle valeted. It shows a good impression if your vehicle is ready. You cannot smoke in it shortly before or during the test. Make sure it's smoke free, no fumes, etc. Get a friend who doesn't smoke to check the vehicle, really, because smokers often don't know or cannot detect the smell of smoke. Get a friend who doesn't smoke, get them to check it through, but really make sure it's not there. Some examiners again all examiners can refuse, but some are particularly sensitive to smoke. Another controversial point that comes up quite a lot on the forums, you can use a camera fitted for insurance purposes, okay, but providing it faces outside the car and does not film inside the vehicle and does not record audio from inside the car. Those are the rules, not what you hear on various social media forums, but those are the rules. I know many instructors have been getting away with it and they're saying, oh, the examiners don't complain about R1, but all you want is an examiner on a work to rule or whatever, and your car is going to be refused. So stick with it. And there are certain cars you cannot take for tests. More details, there's the thing there, obviously the gov.website, ADIs, that part 2 car rules. I'll give some information in a moment on those. An ISO tech. The ISO test will be done. First of all, we should all know what that is. 27.5 meters. Look it up for more information. It's a little bit more than the learners need to do. They're going to be asked the show me tell me questions. The general driving ability will be tested, their maneuvers will be tested, and there will be an independent drive during that as well. The test will take around about 1 hour. Let's look at this ISO. They will have to read a number plate from a distance of 26.5 meters for a vehicle with a new style number plate. I think it's 27 with the old. 26.5 with the vehicle with the new style number plate. Yes, 27.5 meters with the old style number plate. The new style number plate are the ones that, as you know, AB51 ABC, so to speak, whereas the old one, GEL761D, that was the old one, and they used a different font, different type of lettering. The test will be failed if they do not pass the ISO test. It will also count as one of their 3 attempts. It will count as one of the 3 attempts that they're allowed as a Part 3 test. I regularly check my trainees' eyesight. I would certainly be checking it on any mock test, doing a really good test with it, make sure there's no problems. It is quite common for a trainee to come to you and to find that they can fail the number plate reading test. I'm amazed how often it is. Often they would go away and they'd come back and they'd say, I've spoken to my optician and my optician said it's not a problem. It is a problem. The optician may well be saying, you know, there is no problems and they can see to drive, but at the end of the day it will be down to that examiner asking them to check a number plate, and if they cannot read that number plate, the test will not go ahead. So they need to really go back to their optician. I've had problems myself in my eyesight in recent years where I've had glasses and I cannot read the number plates, certainly not the one for an ADI. I've had to go back and they've told me there's nothing wrong with my prescription. They've gone and then changed it. It's got a bit better and it got a bit better until about 6 attempts and they've got my glasses right. Do not be fobbed off with the opticians. The 5 safety questions known as the show me tell me questions. They will be asked to carry out them. They will be asked 3 tell-me questions at the start before the actual drive, and 2 of them will be on the move while they're driving. For example, show me how to wash the windows using the car controls on wipers. They can be asked to show them about cruise control, how to operate the cruise control, or speed limiters as well. So make sure that all the controls can be used. They'll get a driving fault for each incorrect answer they give. This is different. So remember, they're only allowed 6 driver faults, and it's all over. They will get a serious if they fail the test by answering all 5 questions incorrectly, or if they lose any part of control of the vehicle while answering the show me questions. General ability. Well, they'll have to show the examiner all of the following: expert handling of the controls, use of correct road procedure, anticipation and action of other road users, appropriate actions, sound judgment of distance, speed and timing, consideration for the convenience and safety of other users, and driving in an environmentally friendly manner, using the gears correctly, saving fuel where they can. They'll drive in varying road conditions, traffic conditions, including motorways and dual carriageways where it is possible. Okay, so test centres such as Exeter, Taunton, they're going to be using that motorway. If they're down in Camborne, they're not going to be using the motorway, but they will be using dual carriageways. And they may also be asked to carry out an emergency stop. They'll also be asked to do 2 of the following exercises: parallel park at the side of the road, reverse into a bay and drive out, drive into a bay and reverse out, pull up the right hand side of the road, reverse for about 2 car lengths and rejoin the traffic. You'll need to make sure that they're happy with all of these. And then of course the independent driving. Well, they'll have to drive for 20 minutes by following either directions from a sat nav or traffic signs. So the examiner will either say we're going to follow the road, or they'll say I would like you to follow the road signs to wherever, and they'll expect you to do that. The examiner will have it set up for you. You cannot follow directions from your own sat nav during the test, so the examiner will set that up. And again, this is typical and same for learners really. Your test will not be affected if you take a wrong turning unless you make a fault while doing it. So basically, if you come off a roundabout, a wrong exit, as long as you do it correctly, mirrors, signal, position, etc., you're going to be fine. I tell this to my learners as well: if they're really not sure, just take an exit that they think is correct, but do it correctly. They will not fail the test for going in the wrong direction. The examiner will help them get back en route if you do. 3 types of faults. A dangerous fault. This involves actual danger to you, the examiner, the public or property. If it didn't make the examiner think, oh my lord, it's not a dangerous fault. A serious fault is something that's potentially dangerous. That could have affected somebody had something been different. The driver fault, this is not a potentially dangerous, it's just where they keep making the same fault and it could become a serious fault. The driver fault is something that's not dangerous, not serious, but it's a driver fault. You will pass the part 2 if you make no more than 6 driver faults, no serious or dangerous faults. Now, if you pass your test, the examiner will tell you what faults you made, if any, give you a copy of the driving test result report. That's normally emailed now. Well, that's the end. This is just literally keeping you up to date with the part 2 test. It's a bolt-on really to the unit, so you need to make sure that you're familiar with this. This is something you will be asked a lot of questions on during the training about the test, and you've now got the actual facts on what to do. Thank you very much. I'm Dave Foster. This is DTE-Elite, and I look forward to seeing you on the next section.